It is September 26, 2025, and another shocking evidence, I believe, is coming forward. The recoil or the ejection, the slide action of the weapon that was used can be heard in the camera right here that's actually filming the action. Not only do we have the laser of whatever it was, perhaps an IR laser, infrared laser, which could be picked up by the screen of a phone, and I'll bring that back to you real quick. As this man right here, as he's holding his phone, not only can the laser just briefly gets picked up, there it is right there in the image of his phone, and again, I will do my very dead level best not to uh, deal with graphic things here in this video here because I don't want to show those type things for the sake of the family and stuff. But not only are we able to see, there that laser is. The laser bounces off this guy's phone, goes up, and then Charlie is hit. All right. By the way, the guy that you see in the front, some people have thought that maybe he had something in his hand and actually shot him. No, Charlie is shot from the side. There is another man that actually is able to prove that in photo images there, blood coming from the side of Charlie's head here near his ear. This guy right here, though, you will see in this video here later. Let me back it up. I'll show you. He actually is trying to run to the aid of Charlie. He jumps the fence after Charlie hits the ground. He had jumped the fence. He comes over. You will see him here in just a second. I want to clear this guy up here real quick. He comes around. There he is right there. He's coming around to try to help as well, but he's met by security. They don't allow him to get any closer. But when you see right here, watch what happens as the people recoil. He has a slight recoil reaction too. That's like a fear that hits people when they do that recoil. So no, he has nothing to do with the shot there. And again, right here, and I'm going to take, and I want to zoom in for you on this. I've got a lot of photographs taken that I've been working on here, but let me real quick here catch the laser. There it is there, the laser that hits the guy's phone. That's the best shot right there. I'm going to photograph this for you so you can see this for yourself and blow this up for you in the image here. That's most likely an infrared laser. It's not seen with the naked eye. It's in the 808 to 850 nanometer infrared light range there, but it could be seen by the person looking through that type of device. At the same time, from what I have been able to ascertain from scientific reviews on these things, a cell phone screen would reflect it, and it would reflect as a white light, even though it could be green or red. The phone itself would just pick it up as a white looking dot is what it would do there. So that's what I noticed the first thing. That's what caught my attention after examining every possible angle that I could on these different shots, different things there that were going on there. This guy definitely not. There is another thing that's in this same video footage, and I want to share this with you as well. And this is the camera lady that was filming there. They really, and I'm sure, I don't know why it's being suppressed, but she doesn't have the camera on Charlie just before the shot. It may be the speaker that Charlie is interviewing because he's right there close to the stage. Perhaps, though, she actually picks up the shooter in her camera. Much better quality imagery than a phone would have, for sure. But I just wanted to mention that as well. And then the other one too, I wanted to share with you there. And again, I do not want people seeing a lot of these imageries here. I may not have it on here. Maybe I have it actually on the screen here, though, where a man actually shows the different things. But let's get to this new breaking important information right now. And I've got to figure out a way to do this. So I'm going to minimize the screen here. I'm going to first, it is slowed down at 50%. I'm going to play this for you just for a moment. I want you to listen closely And just for a moment, I'm not going to comment at first. Just listen. When the shot goes off, listen carefully.
Great.
Okay. You hear that sound, like a clank sound almost. Now that is at half speed. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Sorry, going to speed it up to 0.75. You can still hear it pretty clearly, but I can control the imagery there. Let me kind of move Charlie up because I don't want people to see that. Listen again.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
You notice that sound, right? Now, I want you to hear the sound of the shot when you're not standing close by Charlie. Listen to it now.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
Little pop noise. You don't hear, listen again.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
You hear a little bit of the echo, a pop sound, not, by the way, listen, they're saying that this guy that they're accusing of shooting Charlie had a 30-06. All right, a 30-06. Let's listen real quick to the sound of this gun here. Again, you're in an enclosed area. So the sound of a 30-06 in an enclosed area is going to have some definite sound. Most phones that video, though, they have sound suppressors, so they don't pick up very well. So it's kind of hard for me to find a good quality 30-06 sound. I've shot a 30-06 many times. I know what they sound like. But listen again to the actual gun that shoots Charlie. Listen.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
Just a little pop sound, right? Now let's go back again, though, to the one that's right there where Charlie is at. Now I'm going to put it at regular speed so you can hear it at regular speed. Listen in and watch also the laser that pops off the guy's phone.
In America, over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
You hear that metal clank sound? It almost sounds to me if it's the receiver of a semi-automatic. That's what it sounds like. Listen to it again, and then we're going to play a 30-06.
How many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
Again, you hear the clanking sound. All right, let's then take a look at the sound of a 30-06, what it sounds like. That is a 30-06. Nothing at all like this little sound.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
That's a much smaller caliber. And what's really strange is when you listen to this, right? Now I'll take you to this is a German, East German Makarov that the guy shoots here. It does have a little bit of a clank sound. Whoops, sorry.
This is an East German Makarov. Some of the hardest milsurps to get of the Eastern Bloc, close to where the original Walther factory was, and that's very appropriate since the Makarov is more off the Walther PP. So let's fire this and try it out.
He shoots a lot, but just listen. Hear the clank? Interesting, isn't it? A clank sound, right? Now let's go back to where they're filming it at here and listen again.
Over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
Hear the clank? We have, and I'll slow it down so it's easier for me to show you the laser itself. Okay? This case, it's okay. It's not going to hurt there because we're not going to see anything graphic. Watch what happens on the guy's phone. You can see his face, everything in there. There's the laser. First hits his phone. Scoots over. Goes, and actually you won't see it, but it's going to go right off the top of his phone. And as soon as it does, not long after, maybe a second, Charlie goes over. Now the guy is still filming, but here's what's fascinating. Let me play it again, and I want you to think about how I'm going to put it 0.75. Think how close the camera guy is to the guy that's actually filming this.
Over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
He's extremely close. Now, Mike Adams put out a video that is noteworthy to look at. And we're going to go to that real quick. That's from this angle right here. And the guy, I'll take off his voice because he's assuming that the guy that was this guy here with the white hat and the white shirt, he is the guy. Hang on, let me back it up here. This is the guy right there that you see in that photo. Let me back all the way up just for a moment there, okay? Let's look at what we got going on. There is a fairly good size, the barricade is maybe 25 feet away from the stage itself, okay? Just to give you a little bit better perspective, okay? The guy that is talking, and I think that's who the camera lady is showing there, is right here. He's talking on the microphone, asking the question to Charlie, okay? And then it's going to come up. All right, this guy here, I mistakenly assumed that maybe he had something under his arm. It is a cell phone that he has. I've looked at it so many different ways. Nothing, I don't, my opinion, they're not really involved in anything. All these men go to Charlie's aid immediately. I can't imagine them being in there, and by the way, all he does is he touches his face. At that very moment there. He touches his face. He does not touch his ear. Okay, never his ear, just his face. Did he touch his cap? We don't see it in this particular thing here, but it was just he touched his cheek there. All right. So I think it's just coincidence. I don't think it's fair to accuse these men of anything at all. Right. And also, too, he drops to the ground. He's concerned about being shot. Both these men worked their way over to Charlie to assist on Charlie at that time there. All right. This guy here is not the guy that filmed, although he is going to be directly in that pathway of that one guy. What I do find interesting, though, is whoever this guy is doing the filming, could he be the guy that's right here? Because the guy in the dark shirt seems to be that guy there that's doing that doubling around. Now, Mike Adams brings up a very valid point when he shows this video here. And I have to say that, and I've examined it extremely carefully. I'm going to have to slow it all the way down to 0.25. That's how close the actions are. Notice how the guy's arms are. He's got one arm like this, holding the camera, the other one like this. The guy that does it, the reason why I got his voice silenced, he calls it a gun. It is a cell phone. But could it be a cell phone converted into a gun? Well, the odd thing is, before I show this to you, I'll just quickly show you something. In 2018, the patent for this cell phone gun was made. In 2020, Europe was confiscating cell phones that had been converted to guns, no patents or anything. Israel, the Mossad, CIA, Israel especially, is amazingly good at making weapons out of small things, including the first bullet pin that would shoot a bullet. This here, though, is a 380. And what it can do is exactly what you're going to see now. But it's not a semi-auto. But this is what's publicly known. Could Israel have developed a semi-auto cell phone gun? Watch what he does here, though. looks just like a cell phone, but then it turns into a gun. This one is a 380. The sound is similar. Not far off in caliber. I wouldn't say it's a 380 that was shot, but it's not far from that type of a round. Again, not certain of the round, and it does sound as if there is an ejection of a semi-automatic weapon. Now, I cannot find anything publicly that speaks of a cell phone weapon, but I kind of have a feeling that's exactly what's in the hands of this guy. Now, let's back it up here just for a moment. All right. He's got his hands down. Now, because his hands are down there while this guy is filming, it does tell me he's not the cameraman that's here. Because this guy, even before he lifts his phone up to film, has been filming the whole time. And it's his phone that he actually, with his phone, catches that laser that'll pop up on his screen. Right there. That's the last part of the laser, by the way. You have to really slow it down to get some really slow frames there to see every speck of the lasers. Let's do it like this here, right? Watch this here. Here you go. Here comes the lasers again. Let's blow it up. There's one. It goes up there. It goes off. And then immediately, Charlie is shot. The other strange thing, though, and again, we'll speed it back up. We'll move the frame up. We'll put it at regular sound because I don't want you to see anything happening to Charlie. Listen to the sound. Listen to the clank.
Great.
That metal clanking sound, like a bullet being ejected. Now, when I originally saw this, there was a claim that the guy shot twice. He never shot twice. He only shot once. All right. But now let's take a serious look. And let's see. We have it at 0.25. Let's watch what does happen. So someone is close to him if he is a shooter. I don't say that he is. I can't say that with certainty. But Mike Adams does bring something up that's very valid. He answers the question. All right. Now, as he's going to go down with his hands. Okay. He puts the mic back down. Now watch this guy here that's holding this alleged phone. Okay. Notice that little jerk motion in there. Now I've got it slowed down real slow. He makes a jerk, but it's almost simultaneously to the hit. A jerk? Why would he jerk it? There's not been a gunshot go off. Now let's speed it up a little bit. Okay, and I will make sure we do not get anything graphic here, but let's just speed it up so we can see it easier. Because see, it's so simultaneously, you see it when I slow it way down, but watch. Jerk, hit. Before his hand could even come back down, hit. That is pretty consistent. But what's more consistent is the fact that the sound of the weapon is very close.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
It's very close. It's not like this one here.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
They can hear Charlie with no problem talking on the microphone. But notice, even Charlie talking, listen.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
The bullet sound, the speaker sound of Charlie is a little bit more distant, obviously. Here, it is not. Charlie is very loud because you're close to the speaker, and so is the weapon.
Over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Not only do you have a laser on the guy's phone, but you have the weapon right next to the guy that's filming. And we know that the guy filming is not this guy, because he doesn't bring the, watch what happens here. The phone is down. The guy in the white shirt is filming. There is no phone up with him filming. Somebody else, maybe directly in behind here at a little bit different angle, is filming, because actually when you look at the film on here, watch where the guy in the white cap is. Look where Charlie is. Now let's look at the film real quick. All right. He is just barely off from where Charlie is right there. Okay. So let's go back. It's barely off. So it's either this guy here, and maybe the guy that took off running was a different guy, but it could have been a guy behind him, or it may be this guy that stays there. But it seems to be that the shooter is extremely close. Whether it's this guy, could be, I don't think it's that guy sitting there, but there is that guy back there in the alcove area there where they can drive the cars in and out, that happens to be there. But clearly, as he raises his hands up, he has a maybe he has to turn on the sight so that he can get the laser pin on Charlie. And in the process, just briefly, it reflects off the phone that goes into position. A shot is fired, and Charlie is hit. That's what it appears to be. I do say 100% from the sounds of the weapon and everything, that guy is extremely close to these people right here. He is not 200 yards away. The weapon is definitely right there. Now, let me move on to a couple of other things real quick for you. I want you to look at what Charlie was saying here, right? Again, reasons, and then we're going to back it up with a couple of witnesses that know Charlie personally. Listen in.
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order?
You hear the guy? Whew. He's like, he's brave.
6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews.
And just to make the point perfectly clear, all right, I want to share with you just real quick. You see it all the time when you go to my channel right here. Let me just click at it. Maybe it'll make it bigger. I don't know if it does or doesn't. Maybe, no, it doesn't. Sorry. So we'll go back. That's September 22nd, 2004. I took that photo. I was at that suicide bomber. That's the one where miraculously God had to lead me away from the woman or I would have died that day. You see, that's the guys in blue are the military police. The guys in green are the IDF. They were there within about 2 minutes, swarming. I lived there during the Intifada. I know what Israel's capabilities are. No, it doesn't take. I can drive all the way down to Eilat in 4 hours from Jerusalem. Pretty much you could navigate the country from north to south in less than 6 hours. And yet they're saying it 6 hours they did nothing and it was being live streamed. I agree 100% with Charlie, is a stand down, as many other Jewish people have said as well, right? Now, let me just show you something here real quick. Tucker Carlson makes this statement here, just came out, I believe, today. Listen.
Not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true.
That's Tucker Carlson. Kirk did not like Bibi Netanyahu. Okay. Now, let me show you Candace Owens and what she had to say.
Okay. I can tell you that. You're either going to take being kicked in the chest, okay, and told get out, and then suddenly they're all communicating behind your back. And just where he talks about that article, something goes out and suddenly it's like, what's going on? They're like trying to make you think you're going crazy because you're saying some sensible stuff. Charlie was at that moment. He says that he is receiving messages calling him an anti-Semite. So how can you lie right now and dispute it? And better question, why are you lying? I don't like little lies. I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me that just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Charlie.
48 hours before.
I guess I can figure.
48 hours before he was killed, top Jewish donors were demanding to have their names taken off the building that they had funded.
Figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay. Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in. And we'll speak about that more. More people are going.
We understood that as well. When we went against the Zionist narrative, we lost a lot of supporters as well. Now, we didn't have, to our knowledge, Jewish supporters. Not that we screened people, but we lost a lot of supporters for making that stand. And we also got the threats by Israelis. So we understand that.
This is all inevitable, okay? And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was, fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing, okay? He was doing a ton of podcasts in America. He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went on to Brennan Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast. Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk's show?
And yet claims to be the big Charlie Kirk fan.
Charlie was implied that Charlie was penning love letters to him in May. I just love you so much. It's amazing. They were so close. The boys just hits him up like, hey, I know we're fighting this 97,000 front war because we're always the victims, but do you want to just come and maybe stay at my place for the weekend here in Israel? Like, that's the vibe that Bibi was rushing to present to the media. So why didn't he do Charlie Kirk's show? I'll leave that as a question for you guys. Common sense, okay? I don't like.
Now, definitely listen to what Candace is saying and others. At least they have the guts to tell you the truth. I don't know if others will say it or not, but I want you to definitely listen into that. Listen to Charlie here. And then we're going to talk about the guy a little bit before closing here. I want to talk about the guy that they're framing to be Charlie Kirk's killer. Like I said, I don't doubt that he was on the roof. Don't doubt that he climbed down or jumped or whatever the case may be. But everything clearly was planted to make him the patsy.
We put them in power. We displaced the Shah. We displaced the democratically elected leader Mossadegh and put in the Shah, which then, of course, led to the Ayatollahs of Iran. And then finally, is a nuclear weapon against Iran a threat to America? Probably, could be. It's a threat to Israel, but is it a threat to America? I mean, India has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. So is it worth a potential another war with Iran? And the people that are, let's just say, advocates for preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon by all means necessary, they're the same architects that were perfectly fine with the Iraq War, the same designers of the Iraq War. The primary way Iran can hurt this country is by sucking us into another Middle East quagmire, and they know it. And Iran would have the potential to be the worst Middle East quagmire of all time. Iran has 90 million people. That's more than 3 times as big as Iraq was when we invaded 22 years ago. It's larger than both Afghanistan and Iraq combined, both in population and in area. Iraq was at least mostly a flat country. It's a bunch of cities along a couple rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Iran isn't like that. It's almost all mountains. Iran has spent decades.
Now, if you see, Charlie was going against the narrative that Israel didn't like, especially since he had such a massive influence of the MAGA base, young adults, not children, excuse me, young adults. This guy here also, he brings out that they come in there
on
and
your
are
screen,
news.
a guy who is
All the cameras.
dismounting
Which,
a camera that was
okay, granted, you got to dismount stuff to take it down. I get that. But who's actually reviewed the evidence from these cameras, including the one from the front?
tampering are not that big, and that would explain. See that he's about to
who
grab the
removed
chair.
it? And who's going to review the evidence? Another thing, I don't want to really go into the drone. I do see the drone fly in, but the drone clearly, from what I can see, never was in a position to do the shot firing. Not to say that it couldn't have, but just from what we can see from the footage, it doesn't.
Apparently, there's been a shooting.
So theoretically, it could have, but the problem is it's at the front of the tent and not over here to the far right, unless it was, and we didn't see it, or there was another one. But I did just want to address that real quick because that was done that way. Who is the real assassin of Charlie Kirk? The video I did just yesterday. If you haven't seen it, that's where I go into the actual laser, which we've got done again tonight. So there's no need to go back over that again. What I do want to do though is right now, and let me just real quick put on here Charlie Kirk, Utah, because I want to pull up where they are talking about the guy that was, of course, they arraigned him today. Anytime you want to find something, you never find it, right? Let's do it like this here. I believe that Tyler Robinson is who I'm wanting to pull up here for you. Here we go. I believe that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. 100%. I believe he's a patsy. I do believe that he was up on the roof without a doubt, most likely. He may have done some things, but here's what I want you to keep in mind when you think about him and what he did, okay? This here is Dr. Robert Duncan, former DARPA CIA, who was involved in the development of voice-to-skull technology. Listen to some of the statements he makes here. I'll play a few for you.
You're actually under a lot of control systems, and you have been since birth. So I was talking a little bit about, mind control in particular, and something that I worked on, and I'm not proud of, but it's called the Voice of God weapon. So there are 4 different techniques and technologies that can pipe voices into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War to tell the enemy at that time, lay down your guns, this is Allah. And it worked pretty well, because hearing voices which have no direction or sound, you have to assume that it's some spiritual entity.
Okay, that's one thing. Let me take you to another point here that he talks about these things.
Well, there's no way you can get to my soul. Well, sorry, that's not true. So these nanoparticles are activated under certain magnetic frequency and will alter the brain patterns and pathways. Recently,
Can alter the brain waves and pathways there. Let me go to 730. This is where he talks about your social networks and what they can do to you there.
To other aspects of life, the way that I was using it is they're trying to, it was called mind hacking. So they're trying to hack a targeted individual, and the target individual will create mental defenses as best as they can. They'll go to their social networks. Well, what do? They try to disrupt the social network, so you have no family or friends. It's a back and forth game that they're trying to find out the maximum probability of death, and the example that you use, where you'll commit suicide or you'll harm somebody, become a Manchurian candidate or something like that. So it's huge database of probabilities across all the variations of mind. The human.
They basically track people online to see who's the best candidate for this. And as he said, once they begin to start hacking your mind and putting these thoughts in there, willing to do you like the Manchurian candidate and kill people, he said that you begin to try to fight back, but they then disrupt your social life as well. In the case of Tyler, his father turns against him, his family turns against him, the guy that he was in love with turns against him. They're able to manipulate every single bit of that. Dr. Robert Duncan was killed last year, though, and very sad to say, but I want to play this part here in this interview as well for you.
Weapon system called the Voice of God, and I've met some of these people.
A classified weapon system?
It's just the categorization called Voice of God weapons. Anything you can make someone hear, believe it's God.
And these are real?
Yes.
These are publicly...
There's Newsweek wrote about them.
Okay.
So it's been out for a while.
Voice of God weapons.
Voice of God weapons.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
And so I've run into people randomly who believe they're talking to God. God doesn't have a voice, I don't think. I don't know what he sounds like, but they're convinced, and they'll do whatever this voice tells them. And that's the dangerous part. That's another form of trickery. God wants you to go on a killing spree, let's say. Some people would do that. You're one of God's army. So you can see how this broad swath all over the world, not only is it experimental, it could be very much a secret army of assassins. And so I call them programmed assassins.
There you go. Now, the thing is, in the old days, the CIA, when they would do an assassination of an individual, they would always set the stage to make it look like someone else did the job. That is very common. They also have a very thorough network of controlling everyone, to the police, the local sheriff, the local chief of police normally, hospitals, psychologists, you name it. FAA, these are some that I know personally that they can control. Lawyers, you name it, they control it. Therefore, if they need to create a patsy, they will have a lot more people involved, especially when it's a hit either by CIA or Mossad, who also has an unbelievable network of people. If they bring their assassin in, you can count on one thing: they will have a patsy. And that's exactly what they did with JFK. Our former president, and while Oswald was indeed a patsy. And I believe Tyler Robinson's a patsy, based on the evidence that I've uncovered thus far. And I don't have near at my disposal what they do. Stephen Banoon with Israeli News Live. Thank you for listening.